So today we got a question from Jay, who's 21 years old. He's been training for about 4 years in jiu-jitsu, and he is a young guy who's really focused on competition. Now, recently he posted a picture online that got him into some heat. So basically, he won this match at this event or whatever that they were doing, and afterwards he posted a picture with him holding a check. He had a gold medal around his neck, and he said, it was like an Instagram stories post, and so it said 5 wins, undefeated. I want the 170 strap. Completely broke my opponent's leg and maybe shoulder, and then it had like the gold medal and cash bag emoji. Now, he sent me a message and said that, basically someone on like a forum or like a Facebook group got a hold of it, and everybody was just ragging on him, like, dude, this douchebag, whatever. And so he's wondering, he kind of sent me the question, like, Chewy, can you give me some perspective? Am I being the asshole? He said that he posted the picture and talked about the break because he was happy with his braking mechanics, which he said that some grapplers talk about, that a lot of people have poor braking mechanics. So when he felt the pop, he was, wasn't happy that he injured the person, but he was happy that he could actually break something, right? Like, that's something that a lot of people haven't done and don't have the mechanics to do. And so he was just sort of mentioning it, that and passing it. That's how he said he saw it. But again, everybody's dogpiling on him. So he's wondering, because he never wanted to hurt anybody. He didn't want to disrespect his opponent or any way like that. And so he's just upset that he got that much shit about it. And so he's wondering, again, is he the asshole, or are these people on the internet overreacting? So, brother, let's chat about it. So, man, when I was thinking about it, when I was younger, a little bit younger than you, when I was like pre-19, I'll talk about what happened when I was 19. Before I was 19, I kind of threw around the fact that I would injure people a little bit more frivolously like you are. And in some cases, I even took pride in it. I remember when I played football, I was a lineman, and we would chop block sometimes. We would basically dive at people's legs to like throw them off balance. And there were a couple times where I injured people. And when I would come out from the offense would come back out and the defense would take over, I'd say, hey, coach, you see me, like, I chop blocked him and took him out of the game, that kind of thing. I took pride in it. I remember in high school wrestling, I used a pinning combination. We called it the hammer and a half, which I don't know what anybody else calls it. But basically, the arm would almost end up in the back, like kind of like a kimura, and you would pin people. You'd roll them on their back, and they would, get pinned. Well, sometimes during that process, I would end up popping people's shoulder out. They'd get dislocated. And again, I didn't want to necessarily hurt anybody, but when my opponents would have these big ice packs on their shoulder after the matches, I'd be like, yeah, like, I'm a tough guy, and whatever, injure that guy. And even in jiu-jitsu, I remember, like, when I first started jiu-jitsu, sometimes in competition I wasn't as careful with my submissions. Now, that changed when I was 19 years old, where first I got bit by a spider. Simple thing that had nothing to do with anyone injuring me. But then I had a meniscus tear. Again, nobody injured me, but now in both cases I had to have surgery, and then I had to eventually be off the mat for a long period of time. I pretty much didn't have any mat time for maybe more than like a week in between those two surgeries and those two incidents for like 4 months, right? And it happened at the worst time. I had just gotten my blue belt. I was getting ready for my first MMA fight. I was like making a lot of headway, was doing really well. Then the spider bite. As soon as I came back from that, boom, I got a meniscus tear. It was terrible. And that 4-month stretch was awful. And it made me feel the absolute like gut-wrenching sort of depression of not being able to, do your training, to be athletic, to do any of that stuff because you're injured. And so with that, I became a lot more empathetic towards submissions and things like that, and being more careful about it because, if I injure someone, to me, I can feel like, man, I remember what that was like, sitting around being depressed all the time because you can't train and you're injured, and who knows if you'll ever come back to be 100%. Now, I share that with you because I don't want you to think that I'm talking at you in this video. Because had social media been around back before my string of injuries, who knows what I would have posted about hurting people. It probably would have been all over there. I feel a certain level of sympathy for you young people that have to deal with social media when you're younger. And when we're younger, dude, we just do dumb stuff, right? And with that said, what you did was dumb. And yeah, you're kind of the asshole. Now, unintentionally so. I don't think you're a bad guy. In fact, I watched your match, and you were very smooth with your submissions. You applied them with control. There was nothing dangerous about it. There was nothing ripping about or anything like that. It was very smooth. You did a very good job. Your grappling was good. But had you been my student and you posted that, I would have chewed you out because it's not a cool thing to talk about, right? like for instance, as I got older and started, even after those injuries, as I started doing MMA and started competing in jiu-jitsu, obviously, and as a black belt and everything else, people get injured sometimes. What we're doing is not patty cake, right? And in MMA's case, we have a license to basically bludgeon and injure people with our fists and elbows and everything else. So it happens. Now, I never took pride in it. It's not something I want to talk about. I won't share it with people. Like, it's not something like, I don't even bring it up. I'll talk about my wins, of course, and I'll talk about the submissions and whatever else maybe that I used, but it's not something that I'll take pride in or that I'll even want to post anywhere, unless maybe I'm talking in a video like this to you for instructive purposes. Because again, I know what that means. If I injured someone, even if it's accidental, I know what that means because I've been there a bunch of times. And again, if you flip this around, bro, think about this. What if you were rolling with someone, they popped your leg, right? They put you out, you got injured, possibly maybe never to be as good as you were before because maybe you tore your ACL or who knows, right? Something happens. And then you saw a picture of this dude holding up a check, gold medal around his neck, and he's talking about, I want that strap. By the way, I broke my opponent's leg, right? You probably wouldn't be like, oh man, he's talking about his braking mechanics. You would probably think he's a douchebag and he's gloating about it. And so that's kind of what's going on. Now, here's what I would share with you, because I know that you're a young competitor. And as a young competitor, you want to market yourself to the world. You want people to see you so that you can get sponsorships and you can get big matches and you can do stuff, right? That's kind of what I imagine most people are thinking about. There's lots of ways to market yourself. But if you truly were posting that picture and not in an intention to gloat about it, then I think it would be a good idea to make sure you save those kinds of posts and explain with full context, right? Like, and actually talk about the braking mechanics or whatever it is that you want to talk about. Explain it in a post. Give it full context. Don't put it in a stories post where it can be misinterpreted. That said, maybe you wanted to stir the pot a little bit. I don't know. Right? There's a lot of ways to market yourself, and that's one that a lot of people gear towards because it's easy. It's right. You can just say some stuff and just get people all pissed off, and maybe that's where you were going. I don't know. But I'll share this with you. If you decide to go that direction and you're going to post yourself and you're going to market yourself and you're going to like say stuff that's kind of provocative and that kind of thing, just understand you got to have the stomach for it. As many people that are going to like you are going to hate you, maybe more over on the hate side, right? So just understand if you're going to post stuff like that, you got to be careful and you got to have the stomach for it. And so yeah, that's to wrap it up. So yeah, if you were asking me, if you were my student, I would tell you you're being the asshole. Unintentionally so, we're young, we all make mistakes, no big deal. I would not be part of the internet group piling on you because again, like, we're all messed up. We all got our problems. And every one of us that looks back to when we were younger could look at all kinds of stupid stuff we did and be like, man, I can't say anything to this kid because I did the same stuff. And in my case, I did. So again, I'm not hating on you, but I'm just letting you know since you're asking from my perspective, yeah, you were in the wrong, but just be mindful the next time. Anytime you're talking about something where you're talking about injuring people or people being hurt or any of these sensitive topics that are related to stuff that we do in combat sports, it's best to tread lightly with them. So that's my answer to you, Jay. Hopefully that's useful to you, and good luck to you in the future with your competitions, brother.